one day some random cars just started falling out of the sky. And then when you had a look at these cars, some magical balls came out of them. And then these balls were able to turn into monsters, which took you to another dimension so they could fight each other. You probably think, oh god, this is another one of those Pokemon rip-off animes again. But no, this is motherfucking Bakugan Battle Brawlers. This series literally has everything. Kids playing with magical ball monsters, very, very deep character moments, and there's some guy exploiting children. Hey there, just before we get into the video, I just want to let you know that 96% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So please subscribe to the channel this year so we can finally reach 1,000 subscribers. And also, please make sure to support the channel on Ko-Fi. And also, let me know in the comments down below what your favourite Bakugan from this season is. Anyways, back to the video. Bakugan Battle Brawl started airing in around 2007, which makes me feel incredibly old. And to be fair, for a lot of us, this anime is a reminder of a simpler time where we didn't have to worry about rent, the cost of living crisis, or what tentacle hentai was. So after the whole cards falling out the sky shit, we find out that all these kids have essentially created an entire forum dedicated to playing Bakugan. And it also happens to have a leaderboard where the character Shun is ranked number 1. And then also there's a character called Dan on there who's somewhere around top 10. We also meet the characters Runo, Julie, Marucho and Alice, who are Dan's friends. So the anime starts out with us meeting the character Dan, who's going to battle some guy that challenged him at some point before this. And then when he gets there, this guy's like, you know what, I got someone else. I got this guy here. And this guy here, he's fat as fuck. Like, bro, he takes up at least half the screen. This is probably Queso when he was a fucking child. And also, this guy has a receding hairline at probably 7 years old. And probably weighs upwards of 700 pounds. He's practically built like the fucking boiled egg guy who falls off the wall. You know, no, he's more built like a fucking wrecking ball. Look how fat this fuck is. He then eventually beats him and then goes along with his day. But then later on, he wants a rematch. And then while this rematch is basically happening, not only is the ground fucking collapsing because this guy's fat as fuck, there's also another thing collapsing. Destroyer, because Naga has decided that he basically wants to have all the power for himself, and then he goes to try and get the silent core. And then well, Drago he's like, no, that's probably not a good idea. You'll collapse the universe. Like Queso trying to sit down. And he's like, you know what, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. So then he goes in there, takes the silent core, breaks the whole universe, and releases basically the Rage of Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe to all of the Bakugan, and they all start fighting each other. And then this happens to break the dimension that the Bakugan are fighting in the other dimension. And then basically, everybody sees Drago and he's talking to, I think, Fear Reaper or something like that. And then, like, the whole internet basically just goes fucking crazy because they're like, holy shit, a Bakugan was just talking and in English. So, Dan takes Drago home and then he tries to talk to him, like how, like me trying to talk to my Bakugan when I was a child, and basically gets nothing out of him. Meanwhile, this guy called Masquerade just randomly shows up because of all the negative energy released by the silent core, kind of just appears. He's a mysterious being that somehow, like, is really good at Bakugan, and is basically just going around beating anyone and everybody at Bakugan and sending their Bakugan to the Doom dimension with the help of Doom cards. He's like a griefer and basically just ruins the fun of Bakugan for literally everybody. And then he ends up fighting Dan in a battle, and the battle ends with, like, an odd conclusion. It's like who won, but also who, no, I don't know who won or who lost. But basically, it was kind of like a tie, and then Masquerade spares Dan's Bakugan Drago. Which leads Dan and Drago to have a bit of an argument, because Drago is saying that, you know, sacrificing doing his Bakugan just all willy-nilly is a bit bad, and he should play them more strategically so he doesn't lose a Bakugan. Meanwhile, Dan just sees this as a game. Or in War Thunder terms, mindlessly charging the B point with your Russian tank just to get fucking outsniped by a Leopard 2A5 on the other side of the map. So, the Bakugan Battle Brawlers have to find Masquerade and stop him. And for the first half of the season, the Brawlers are basically just battling a bunch of Masquerade's minions while trying to find him with whatever lead they can get. We also find out that the main villain is in fact not Masquerade, but actually some guy called Palji. And he's the guy who helped Naga obtain the Silent Core by giving him a literal fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card. Which brings me on to the Doom Dimension arc. This is probably one of the best arcs in Bakugan entirely. Basically, Masquerade sends the Brawlers to the Doom Dimension, and in order to get out of it, the 6 Ancient Warriors of Destroyer give all the Brawlers psychological tests tackling their deepest insecurities, such as Shun's sadness about his mother's death, Marucho's hatred of his younger self, and Julie's fear of not being able to live up to her older sister. And now for a kids show, all this stuff is really, really deep. Like, especially When I rewatched it back in 2019 for the first time in God knows how long, when we went through this part, right, it was just, oh my god, that deep, that hurts, like, right, wherever the heart is located, it hurts there. Now, all these psychological tests brought basically a lot of, well, feeling towards the characters, like, you understand them more, you begin to like, relate to them. However, with Dan, his psychological test was literally just to beat Apollinaire, and that was it. No deep meaning, no nothing to this. No task he had to overcome. All he has to do was just beat Apollinaire, fight, he's all good to go, and he'll get his Bakugan evolved. That was literally it. Nothing else. That was literally it. Kind of disappointing, isn't it? Oh yeah, and then after this as well, we find out about one of the biggest plot twists in anime history. Alice is actually Masquerade. And after literally anybody watching this at the time, because we were all stupid as fuck, we didn't realise that Alice was Masquerade. It blew our fucking mind. Like, holy shit. I did not see that before, but upon my rewatch, I did sort of get the slight feeling that it was, and then like, it confirmed my suspicions. But still, for a 9-year-old or anybody below the age of 15 who saw that, they were like, oh my god, that was literally Alice. Holy shit, my mind is blown. The world is not the same anymore. Mayonnaise is just an instrument. Later on, Naga decides to invade Earth to get the silent call from his sister, Wyvern, who is partnered with some guy called Joe. And Naga decides to bring some wacky-ass villains who were just as annoying at best in the last arc. And this was the climax of the show, and it was pretty good. But something I found weird was all the kids with their Bakugan were just volunteering to fight and being let go by their parents like it's the Great War and you're about to fight the Germans in France because some Austrian got shot by a guy in Bosnia who was Serbian. Eventually, the brawlers straight up just beat Naga, and, well, they restore all of Destroyer, and Drago goes back home with all of the Bakugan, and everybody lives happily ever after. Now, this is probably one of the best seasons of Bakugan. It is the best season of Bakugan. The storytelling was absolutely brilliant. All the characters felt really flushed out and actually felt like good characters, like in some of the later series. And the battling had this weird mixture of being interesting and also really intense instead of just the brain rot that we got for the rest of the series, which was all very good, but this one had like more intelligence involved with the battling. Everybody was more strategic and more, thought out with the battling. Even though some wins were still complete bullshit, it was still really good battles. The animation itself was good, but it wasn't like amazing, not like Demon Slayer level amazing, because to us, with the technology they had then, they wouldn't be able to achieve that, but it was good. But one thing that was amazing? Masquerade. Masquerade was actually one of the scariest villains in Bakugan. He had this aura of he walks into their place, he's gonna get shit done. Like, there's a scene where I think it was a Fear Ripper or like some sort of Reaper looking Bakugan. He straight up just sends him to the Doom Dimension just so he can get a Hydronoid more power to be able to beat a different Bakugan. He does that with not a thought, not a care in the world running through his thing. It's like me trying to shoot my teammates to see if friendly fire's on and finding out the friendly fire is actually on. Like, it's like instinctual, it's like, oh, bye, and then he's like fucking yeet to the Doom Dimension. That was so fucking cool, and how well executed a villain Masquerade was. He makes all the other villains in Bakugan look beta. Even Spectre, he makes Spectre look shit, and Spectre's like one of my favourite villains, but Masquerade, he is a top tier villain. The characters like Webmaster Joe and all of the other villains from the Bakugan, Masquerade's minions, except for Klaus and Chan Li, they were all pretty much forgotten about, except for Klaus and Chan Li. Webmaster Joe was a really interesting character. I would like to see him come back every now and again. And Combo as well. Combo was such a good character. He could have come back every now and again, Brawl, because, well, the Bakugan came back. He would have been so cool to come back. But Klaus and Chan Li, even though they were good, I kind of wish the others would come back as well. Because also, it's kind of funny how literally all the parents being completely oblivious to the existence of Bakugan. Like, the launchers were made, the watches, all this stuff, and every single kid who's talking about it, how did their parents not find out? Like when Bakugan was around when I was, everyone and their parents and their grandparents knew what Bakugan was, but not in the universe of Bakugan, nobody knows what they were doing. They probably thought they were going to the skate park to do skating on their scooters or whatever. A completely unbiased take, but Bakugan was definitely a 10 out of 10. You guys need to watch this now. But before you do, you may as well watch all of the other reviews I've made of the original Bakugan series, which will be linked here on a playlist you can watch from this video all the way up to the end of Mectanium Surge. And I just want to say thank you all so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like it, And also tell me in a comment what your favourite Bakugan is. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.